Hey Hebrew fans, this is Todd, and there is some really exciting news. They have talked about the new Mondo He-Man, and this is the 1/12 scale, so basically it should be the same size figures as we had with classics, hopefully. So what I did was I decided to take this scale version that I've seen online, and I went ahead and made it 3 different sizes. And let's go and talk about these sizes, then we'll compare it to other figures. Now, before we jump into this too far, for those that don't know, this was the 2000X He-Man that they released. Let me go and get a light so we can see this better. There we go. So this is the 2000X He-Man that we got way back in 2001, 2002, actually 2002, 2003. And originally he had a regular Iron Cross, and they changed it to the symbol right here. And I have to admit, the Four Horsemen did a really cool job creating this figure. Originally, the 2X was awesome, but the figure itself, when it was all done, was not spectacular, because like it only had only a few points of articulation, no elbow joints. The shoulders were all pointed forward, so like you always had like a hunched back. So there's just some issues that wasn't always spectacular. Well, the cartoon, though, totally rocked. I love the cartoon. I watched all these DVDs. Actually, I watched the cartoon live on what was it? Cartoon Network. And then I got these DVDs too. I got all 3 volumes. Oh, and even volume 3, we got the Snake Armor He-Man. Snake Armor He-Man! So, as many of you guys know, I love to make custom figures. And so my custom figures that I was making, a lot of them are 2000X style. So here is some of the 2000X style figures. Here's the first one right here. And this is actually based on a classics. And the head is not custom. The head is actually from, in a 2-pack, we got this Snake Armor He-Man that came with the 2000X head, which gave us all kinds of customizing options at that point. So this figure here is actually chunks and pieces that I pulled from the original toy, sanded them off, drilled the holes, put them onto the big figure, and there we go. Bada bing, bada boom. I made the standard 2000X He-Man. I updated the Snake Armor 2000X He-Man with a new sword and a new clamp and a new shield. And then one of my favorite 2000X He-Mans is the jungle one, because he had a cool boot knife, but I didn't transfer the boot knife over. But he does have this cool bow and arrow, and so I made that version as well. And then one of the versions that I really like is my Ice Armor He-Man. Ice Armor He-Man, which is also one of the 2000X He-Mans. But, as we know, Mondo has made some really cool 12-inch Mondo figures of He-Man. And I always said, Mondo, if you ever make a figure that's like these Mondo figures, but for the size of classics, I am there and I am buying them. So I'm really excited about this. And these pictures started showing up yesterday online. So lo and behold, Mondo did make this version here, which should be comparable in size to our classics He-Man. Let's take a look at some of these cool pictures and the details we have here. So you can see here we got the large armor. Now at first I was afraid there wasn't a lot of lats. If you take a look though, you can see it does have some lats on the side, because we've seen with the other Mondo figures that there's just not a lot of lats on them on the sides. Now one thing I'm not a huge fan of that you guys know, and that is the double jointed elbow. But we'll see how this looks once they actually make it, because it looks like it's not going to mess up too much of the sculpt. So we'll see how that looks. Again, I'm really excited about seeing this completed figure when it all comes out. There's his shield, his 2000X shield of power, 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 power. And there are his alternate heads, his 2000X sword. Very, very, very cool. And of course, one scary part is the price has not been announced yet. So we'll have to wait and see. It says TBD. Looks like it says STDB. STBD, yeah. So it actually is a $ and to be determined. To be determined, so we'll see what that's going to be. Look at that, though. It's pretty cool. As you can see, he's got a nice face sculpt. I'm not a fan of how large the chest emblem is, but we'll see when the final one comes out how they actually do it. But you got to remember too, with the actual toy figure, that chest emblem was pretty large for that figure, so that does make a lot of sense. And also in the cartoon, I believe the chest emblem, I guess, is not too big. I was thinking it'd be bigger than that, but okay. So let's do our comparison. So what I have here is I have the figure printed out in 3 different sizes. So this right here is the 6-inch size. This here is if the figure was 6'4" in height and to the 1/12 scale. And this here is comparable to if they actually made it the same size as the classics. That light's going to shine the whole time. Let me just, oh well, I'll just turn it off. Sorry for the dim lighting, but it shines too much. So if they did it 6 inches, this would be the height of the figure there, and you can see it just will not quite match up. If they did it a true scale of 1/12 with a 6'4" figure, you can see it's still just a little bit shorter than our classics is. But if they did it in the actual full size of classics, it's actually really comparable for the body width and the styling. The hands look a little big, but that's cool, I think. But you can see it actually is really close in size to our classics figures. So Mondo, please, please, please make them the same height as classics so we can just throw them right into our classics figure collection, and we will buy and buy and buy and buy, and you will sell lots and lots of figures. If you make them 6-inch, you may not quite see the same amount of sales that you would like to, because even at this size, they'll also match with Masterverse 2. So it gives us a whole lot more options at that bigger size. If you make it exactly 1/12, but like he's 6'4", it's going to be just a little bit too short. Not terrible though, but again, this is the right size right here. So grab yourself a classics figure, Mondo developers and creators, and measure that size and make it right, please, please, please. Anyway, this has been a wrap, and I appreciate you guys watching. I'm just so excited about this figure coming out. As you guys know, I've talked about it for a long time. He just looks so cool. I just cannot wait until they actually fully release this figure and give us a price on it so we can just see how cool this is going to be. So, there we go. Until next time, thanks for joining me, and I will do you with good journey. Good journey. Good journey, you guys. Bye now.
If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Do it.